what is the status of the church in Russia right now from the eyes of an insider?
Rumors are that the membership in the church has halved since the war started.
There's something about this that seems bigger than what's happened to the church before.
If any of them were left who haven't fled the country or been conscripted and then killed, now they can't use BYU pathways.
People do not understand in America the darkness that can fall upon a continent when communism takes over. This episode is brought to you guys by ScriptureNotes.com, the coolest way of reading your scriptures online. For a free trial of Scripture Notes, please make sure you guys visit the links in the description. This is heartbreaking. It's humorous and heartbreaking simultaneously. It's obviously heartbreaking because of the suffering of the Russian people and the members of the church there for really no good reason. But it's like our thesis that the new edgy is Mormon on steroids. You know, like, I mean, want to get blacklisted in Russia? Don't deal drugs. You know what I'm saying? Don't be an arms dealer. Be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Like, it's everything that's wrong with our society and like secular progressivism just on hyper speed steroids. So I've spoken too much. Jonah, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, we are the insurrection. The world is dominated by tyrants and statist thugs, and we are the rebellion. So you want to be cool, kids. Don't go do drugs. Don't listen to punk. Well, punk rock's pretty good. But go get married and have a bunch of kids and go to church. That's how you be really cool. Recently, the Russian Federation has just categorized the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as undesirable or нежелательно. And that means a lot for their law. Russia does not desire what it doesn't desire. And so if you're on the undesirable list, it's the blacklist. And so whenever you go ask for things from the government or your lawyers knock on the door of this person or whatever, every judge, every lawyer, every militia officer guy knows you're an undesirable organization. So it's not a good thing to be. On April 29th, BYU, like BYU pathways and education, all that stuff was listed as undesirable. I think I said the whole church. That's not true. I'm sorry. Just BYU Idaho. BYU's education program has been called now undesirable, which totally sucks because there's thousands of Russians who do it and are getting a free, wonderful education. Why would you not desire free, world-class education? Like, it's the dumbest. Why would you not do this? It's because, frankly, Putin and Russia, they don't want their people knowing the truth about their country and about their government and about what their government is doing. And so we've been listed as undesirable. According to the article here from BYU iScroll, actually pretty good. Anybody can go read this. It was first reported by the Moscow Times in late April that BYU is now undesirable. According to Radio Free Europe, the undesirable label essentially finishes off the existence inside Russia of any organization that has survived being a foreign agent. So not only is BYU thought of as being foreign, now it's undesirable, so it's toast. When the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, students were permitted to withdraw no matter how late in the semester it was, but now they won't even be able to enroll. It's illegal for Russian citizens to affiliate in any way with BYU, an offense that could cost up to $1,740, which in rubles is a grip of cash.
Yeah.
And a second offense is a larger fine. A third offense could put you in prison, but probably won't get to that. So it's really sad that Russia just keeps circling the drain like this. Because they got into a war that was a giant mistake, and it has huge repercussions. So now there's members of the church in Russia. If there's a member of the church in Russia who hasn't already been now conscripted to go fight in Ukraine, if any of them were left who haven't fled the country or been conscripted and then killed, now they can't use BYU pathways. So
now,
it's a bummer. It's a huge bummer.
Okay, so I understand from a geopolitical war hawk. You know, we love war. You're the only pacifist in
I know you love
in the
war.
group.
Cardin loves war.
No,
not as much as Luke Hansen. Luke Hansen he dreams.
Oh yeah,
of war.
he just dreams it, right?
Okay. He has a huge portrait of the Hiroshima mushroom cloud on the wall of his kitchen.
It was
just on his dining room. He just has a portrait of that mushroom cloud.
You mean how we saved millions of Japanese and American lives by protracting a drawn out war, right? Okay.
That's why he has that mushroom. Just like, you got the same one. Just,
exactly.
Loves that, yeah.
Because we're adults that understand reality. But anyway, I understand from a geopolitical strategy of war position that you don't want a way that foreign intelligence could speak to your citizens and have vital national secrets funneled through I don't know, the false auspices of, I'm just taking a quiz here and responding to this professor, right? You know, it's like, I could see why you would want to shut down external influence and communication, but it also seems it seems unnecessary to have called it undesirable without there being some kind of offense. Because even at the end of the day, for example, if I were at war with, I don't know, Germany, right? I mean, they still make decent cars. I ain't going to be importing them anytime soon and giving them the economic advantage of my money. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
This is a bad example because that's commerce and that's profit and money making and money. But even if I were at war with Persia or something, I'm not going to say that the Museum of Babylonian Ruins, you know what I'm saying, is somehow undesirable. And that, somebody with a doctorate in world history with an emphasis in Mesopotamia is now all of a sudden, an undesirable person. That seems at best excessive. At worst, all world leaders know something's going to happen after this war, and there's going to have to be a rebuilding period. And I don't know, there's something about this that seems bigger than what's happened to the church before. And maybe I don't know exactly how to put it into words correctly, but this seems like a really great loss. When we went into COVID, there was a lot of very wise people at the very beginning in those first 2 weeks to stop the spread that were saying we will rue the day that we go down this path of shutdowns. This will have economic ramifications for a decade, just these 2 weeks. If we do this. And everybody else said, no, it's just fine. Blah, blah. And then here we are now. I don't know a single teacher that thinks that all of their kids have caught up from the COVID pause.
Oh, no, horrible.
I don't know.
But you're exactly right, Cardin. I mean, you're exactly right. This isn't a strange move. This is really a logical next step. If you're the Russian Federation and you've turned yourself into a war state and you're fighting this stupid war with Ukraine, you can't have your people listening to those voices. It's not a dumb decision. It's an evil decision, but it's not it's rational. The other sad part, there's a couple more pieces to this.
Hit it.
The other sad part is that Russia had three stakes in the whole country. That's not very many for a country with hundreds of millions of people. The largest country in the world had 3 stakes, and they shut down one of them in Saratov. Which is a huge bummer.
It's not huge, but it's a sign of health and growth. 3 stakes shows that, wow, we've actually got a presence there. Not just a presence, multiple presence. And let me guess, they were probably in every major area, right? There's probably one in Moscow. There's probably a stake in Stalingrad, right? Or it's not called Stalingrad anymore. What's it called now?
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg. There we are. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's one in St. Petersburg, and then there's probably another one probably out east somewhere, right? Or
okay. Yeah, pretty good actually. That's a really good guess in Saratov. Yeah. So the church first, everything goes through Moscow in Russia. Everything has to go through Moscow. So the church could have created a stake in St. Petersburg before Moscow. It had the membership, it had the priesthood there, but it didn't want to do it because you have to go through Moscow first. It's kind of like kissing the ring. And so the church waited until Moscow was ready for a stake and then created its first stake in Moscow. 2011? Oh, shoot. I can't remember. I think it was 2011. And then right after, like within a few months, they did St. Petersburg right after that. And then the third, so that was the stuff that's been percolating for since the wall came down. I mean, since the fall of the Iron Curtain, we've been working in Petersburg and Moscow to get a stake, right? So those pop up in like 2011, 2012. But then a few years later, we created a stake in Saratov, which is further, like you said, it's further east and south.
Oh, is that why the movie is called the Saratov approach, or about those? Oh, yes. So it's Saratov. So we've all been mispronouncing it now. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the Saratov approach about the missionaries who were kidnapped, Probst and them. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so Saratov had that third stake, and now it's been shut down. Saratov is, that's a real bummer. Like, Russia's population density is so low that getting the critical mass needed to create a stake is really hard because people just spread out like crazy. And so the church had 3 stakes and now has shut down the Saratov stake. It had 4 wards in it. Excuse me. Yes, it had 4 wards in Saratov, then another in Penza, and then 3 branches. By the way, you can read about all of this on the ldschurchgrowth.blogspot.com. I know it's a terrible URL, ldschurchgrowth.blogspot.com, with our friend Matt Martinick, who knows more about the church than the church.
Yeah.
And he provides a lot of this he's a friend of the show, provides a lot of great information. By the way, there's a survey there. He gets his information from a lot of member surveys. Go to ldschurchgrowth.blogspot.com and fill out his member survey about your locale, and he uses that to track what's going on in the church. Great guy. So it takes like 1 minute. Go do the survey. But so they shut down that third stake, which is a huge bummer. So right now, Russia is hemorrhaging members of the church because they usually members of the church are connected to the West a little more than their neighbors, and so they get out. And so rumors are, and these are just rumors are that the membership in the church has halved since the war started, with members getting out of the country, and then that could be perhaps why they've shut down the Saratov stake. So it's a big bummer. It's a huge bummer in Russia. So now no BYU Pathways program, and the third stake has been shut down. The church is still operating there. It has the stake in Moscow and the stake in St. Petersburg. They're still running, and it calls a lot of local missionaries if it can. But if you're an 18, 19-year-old kid, you're going to the front. You're going to the front.
So the church hasn't been declared undesirable. It's just BYU.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yes, I misspoke. It's BYU Idaho, and the Pathways program has been called undesirable. Olga Lisina on After Russia said, Russian citizens and legal entities are not allowed to cooperate with such organizations, either on or off the territory of Russia.
Well, no, but it makes sense that the Russian government would blacklist BYU because it's not a real BYU anyway. You know, there's
I'm calling Brittany. I'm telling Brittany you said that. I'm telling her you said that.
In fact, I actually call into question the BYU Idaho article right here. You know, if you notice, the title says Russia blacklists BYU. No, they didn't blacklist BYU. They blacklisted BYU-Idaho. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit different. That's not blacklisting GMC, that's blacklisting the rusty Pontiac. Then no, I'm just kidding. Dude, like, okay, I am so just kidding. Guys.
And actually, I'm going to drill. I'm telling Brittany you said that. I'm going to drill down here and see if I can't find, without getting a virus,
okay,
or get flagged by the KGB, see if I can't find if it was BYUI or if it was all of BYU. The Moscow Times is reporting that it's actually Brigham Young University at all. It's Brigham Young University.
Oh, dang it. So I got to get rid of that joke. Ah, crap.
You got to get rid of that joke. But, yeah, I don't know. And anyways, it's kind of sad. Now, I don't want people to get too sad, because this has been going on for a long time. This isn't like a sudden thing. It's not like, oh, wait, the Russian government doesn't like the church. Like, yeah, of course they don't like the church. They've always hated the church. But it is a bummer that it keeps regressing. The church works so hard to try to keep BYUI and keep their stakes and keep their missionaries and keep things running there. And so it's a setback. It's a real bummer.
Well, that's my question. Is I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jonah, but I'm just thinking, we always make inroads. Like, this isn't the first time the church has had an unwelcoming country and it's had to do an uphill battle. Like, famously, the Romanian Orphanage Project, where Romania didn't want anything to do with the members of the Church of Jesus Latter-day Saints.
Right.
And we came and we said, okay, cool, what can we do? And the one bureaucrat said, well, we have a problem with orphans. Next thing you know, we're building orphanages. It's this beautiful success story. Everybody turns around and realizes, oh my gosh, Mormons are actually pretty dang cool. They're not like these, angry evangelical counterparts that want to tell all of our Catholic brothers that they're, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, holy smoke, it's a joy having these people around. And look what they just did for our citizens. Okay, fine. What do you need? You know what I'm saying? You just hear story after story. Matt Ball telling us about the that one country. You know what I'm saying? We always persevere, and long suffering always wins, right?
Well, now, when actually, funny you should say that. So the orphanage thing actually in Russia hit a lot different. So Russia and Ukraine together years ago thought somebody came out, some stupid, I think it was Putin, politician came out and said, the Americans are trying to steal our babies. And they shut down adoption from the West in Ukraine and in Russia. Now I'm speaking apocryphally. Let me make sure that's
no, but that there was an African despot that did the exact same thing.
Yeah. Russia bans adoption of its children from countries. Yeah. So adoption of Russian children by U.S. citizens was banned in 2012. And they said, oh, they're stealing our children. We can't let them adopt. It's like, they're orphans. They're orphans. You don't do jack for them. I was a missionary over there. We're the only people who cared. We and the Catholics, we're the only ones who cared if these children lived or died. The government didn't care at all. And now we can't have the Americans adopting them. Jeez, guys.
Is this all just part of the whole, I can't be a good leader and give you a good reason to vote for me, but I can tell you that I'll make America look bad? And
100%. 100%, Cardin. Yes. The Russian psyche, I'm telling you, people, Americans don't understand this. The Russian psyche is, if they're hurting, I'm better. It's bizarre, man. I'm telling you.
No, it's not bizarre. That's ex-Mormon subreddit, bro.
It's ex-Mormon.
This is
it's true.
Literally,
it's
just you
suffering. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, does it do damage to the church? Well, it just made my day.
Let's do it.
And is it ethical? Is it moral? Is it true? Is it correct? Is there a long-term benefit to it?
Yeah.
No, none of that matters. None of that matters. Like Jeremy Runnels in that silly map in the CES letter that's like completely not factual, and he's like, oh, I got to take it out because it's not factual, and then a bunch of people are like, no, that's what broke my shelf. Keep it in. And it's like, they literally don't care if it's.
They don't care. They don't care.
It's like, wow, okay.
No, the old Russian proverb where the man gets a genie says, "I'll grant you a wish," but your neighbor gets double. And instead of wishing for a big fat cow or a beautiful wife or a new house, he tells the genie, my neighbor gets double, then poke out this eye.
Oh.
That's the old Russian. Now, look,
No.
Americans don't tell that story. Russians tell that about themselves. So they're very aware that there's kind of a thing of competition over there. Now, the next place we're going is China.
Wait, no.
So
Before we
China-
go, but no, before we go to China, I just want to have just one last question here.
Sure.
I got you on here because not only did you serve your mission in Russia, but you did a much better job than most returned missionaries keeping up with the people you served with, keeping up with the leadership of the people that you served with. You're like an insider in Russia, right? What is the state of the church in Russia now? Like 6 months ago, we did a little bit of an update. Let's update that update. What is the status of the church in Russia right now from the eyes of an insider?
Well, it's harder and harder to see what's going on because information is heavily controlled. But the sense that you get is fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of walking on eggshells. Like we used to walk on eggshells, and now we walk on even more eggshells. What the church is having to do, it's done in some other countries before, what the church is having to do there is rely heavy on local leaders, local leadership for absolutely everything. The women are pulling a huge amount of the weight there and doing a lot of the work there, which they kind of did anyways. In Russia, they have mandatory military service. They always have. For mandatory for young men ages 18, 19. So missions were almost impossible to serve. If there was a Russian youth who served a mission, it was a big deal. And every young woman, coast to coast, knew which young men were serving missions. Even if they lived 1,000 miles away, every young woman knew Elder so-and-so is back in 3 months. I mean, it was such a rare thing. You were a celebrity if you got to serve a mission. If you did not and you were drafted into the military, it was kind of like a death sentence. Actually, for some guys, it was a death sentence because men are killed in the military. One guy that I taught actually was drafted into the military as a young man, and he was beaten to the point of permanent brain damage and came back permanently disabled because he was hazed by fellow soldiers. It's not enemy soldiers, it's fellow soldiers. The military is a horrible place for Russian young men. They come back with drinking problems. They come back with lots of problems and trauma and all that. Anyways, so right now the church in Russia is being run a lot by women and then older local leaders who are having to do their best. Now, the good news is that Russians are the most stubborn people in the world. And so if these people accepted the gospel, they will stay faithful to that gospel until the stars burn out in the sky. They will never forsake their testimonies. They are the most stubborn people in the world. So you have a lot of those older members who are trying to carry the weight. The communication with the rest of the world is very hard, but the church has lots of proxies in Europe. The church has people in Bulgaria and in Belarus and in Germany that it's been using for a long time. That gets harder because even Europe is against the Ukraine war, and so Russia is becoming more and more isolated. So those local leaders in Russia are having to operate on their own. A lot of the congregations have emptied out because Russians leave. Russian saints are when the war got out, there was a huge emigration of people trying to get out, especially young families, which a lot of those are Latter-day Saints. And so you had you actually had more young men like escape Russia than you did be drafted into the soldiery. So for every soldier that they conscripted, there was like 1.5 or 2 guys who snuck out the back door. There were guys who paddled a rowboat, not a lie. I'm telling you, people. It was a fishing boat, little motor. They managed to get from Vladivostok and Kamchatka all the way to the Aleutian Islands in Alaska to try to escape being conscripted. That's how badly these guys want to escape being sent to war, and they were rescued and brought to America for asylum. It's absolutely insane. But so they were evacuated. So a lot of the congregations are seeing that evacuation, a lot of guys leaving. And so the congregations shrink. It's really sad. The church has done stuff like this before. This isn't the first time. We had East Germany. We've dealt with communism and statism before, but it's real sad. It's real sad. And I don't know how you get out of this until Putin dies. But yeah. So,
oh, geez, man. And to think that there's people in America that endorse this, that are like, we need to reconsider socialism. It's just like, oh my goodness gracious.
Jeez.
So
yeah, that is this is the Jonah Barnes U.S. politician rehabilitation program. Everyone elected to federal office in the United States has to go just live in Siberia for 2 weeks. That's all. 2 weeks. We have the money. We'll even put you up in the nicest hotel.
Yeah.
And just living there for 2 weeks, and you will come back and you will never, ever, 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 ever entertain any socialist idea for the rest of your life. You will see how dreadfully awful it is.
Is there anything we can do to help the membership in Russia? I mean, look, my family escaped the Iron Curtain, so I just know how impenetrable that can be. I mean, you send a letter to a family in Poland and the Stasi shows up. The secret police delivers it and says, why are you talking to somebody in the West? So is there even anything that we can do, or is it just very hard and fervent prayer?
Well, yeah. So what the church has done, so remember in 2018, Russell M. Nelson announced a temple in Russia. He said, we're going to build it someplace. He didn't announce the city, but he really wanted. Russell M. Nelson has really close ties with Russia and with China. He's kind of the man of the hour. He's kind of the man that we need. And he announced a temple there. Didn't know where it was going to be. It probably would have to be in Moscow because everything has to go through Moscow, but it was kind of undetermined. And then COVID put a hold on that, and then the war blew that up. So it's been a long time waiting for that temple in Russia. But in the interim, the church has allowed Russian leaders to use a space, and I don't know where, but to use some kind of space as a temple so that they can seek the will of the Lord while they're over there. And so they're alone, they can't have any outside, very, very little outside contact. And so the church is allowing them some kind of space dedicated, kind of like an endowment house type of deal, maybe, so that they can seek the will of the Lord while they're there. But what we can do, honestly, lots of fervent prayer. There are marvelous people over there, such awesome people, and they are so alone. They're so alone. They live in a very bleak place, and they're trying to be positive. And they're trying to be optimistic, and it's really hard. And they're trying to represent Jesus Christ and be happy and keep a smile on their face. And these people, if they met you, they would hug you and they would call you brother and sister. Wow. And so say your prayers for the Russian members. Pray that the war will end. Pray that Vladimir Putin gets slowly devoured by flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh yeah, we're doing really great for our membership in Russia once their intelligence operatives see this and say well, they did just wish flesh-eating worms. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea what you said, therefore I do not endorse it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they're the one saving grace, guys. Here's the saving grace: incompetence. That's the saving grace. These people are not competent people. The statists who run Russia and put down the church and all these things are They're bad, they're evil, but they're actually incredibly incompetent people. So that's our one advantage.
Okay. Yeah. Nobody knows. My family's Slavic, dude. All my great aunts and uncles, every last one of them except for one was killed in a Siberian, first a National Socialist Nazi and then liberated into a Siberian labor camp. So people do not understand in America the darkness that can fall upon a continent when communism takes over. But both sides of my family, actually, no, sorry. Both sides of that one side of my family, as in like my stepmother and my biological father, come from families that escaped communism. My stepmother, Che Guevara and Fidel Castro in the 50s and 60s. There was a death sentence upon my grandfather. He came here with a Coca-Cola and the clothes on his back was all that he had.
Yeah, man.
So,
and these people walk around with Che Guevara shirts, dude. At BYU, there were guys walking around with Che Guevara shirts.
Yeah.
Are you high?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? It's like, would you wear a swastika?
Yeah. No, but
it's insane.
Yeah. No, but it's progmo cool. So like whatever. You just have to. Yeah, it's nuts. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below. If you serve there, if you have some inside information, we'd love to know more. For this and more, please check us out at WardRadio.com.